Hello, everyone, and welcome to our event today. My name is Craig Pessman, and I am a member of the IBM Collaboration Solutions Business Partner Team, and I'll be a host and one of your presenters here today. Today, we're going to be seeing how Wheaton Worldwide Moving drives collaboration across its network. During the webcast, you'll learn about Wheaton Worldwide Moving, and they're a mid-sized company that specializes in moving household goods. You'll see how they've implemented a portal solution to help streamline and accelerate their business processes. You'll also hear about how Wheaton implemented IBM portal solutions to develop data models that improve user experiences by minimizing training time and increasing user acceptance rates. In addition, they'll talk about how they effectively collaborate and communicate across their 250 agencies nationwide. Today, I have with me a couple of additional presenters. First of all, I'd like to introduce Jared Carter, who is the CIO from Wheaton, and Mike Cronin from Perficient, one of our IBM leading business partners in the portal space who has worked with Wheaton to develop this solution. They will be presenting today with me. As a reminder to our audience, if you have a question during the course of our presentation, please click on the green Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit a question. At the close of our presentation, we'll try to get as many of those questions answered in the time that we have available to you. During the webinar today, we will be, as I mentioned, we will be hearing from both Mike and Jared about their presentation, and then I will close out the discussion with a discussion of our exceptional web experience roadmap and talk to you a bit about the products that are being used in this solution. So at this point in time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Jared Carter, who is the CIO for Wheaton. Jared, thanks a lot for your time and being able to join us here today.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate that. So Wheaton is a moving company. We are a van line, and we were founded by Ernest Wheaton on the premise primarily that the customer comes first. And since we were founded about 66 years ago, Wheaton has remained at the top of the list of household companies for quality and customer service. Wheaton is the only employee-owned van line, and our employees take pride in ensuring that each customer we move has a positive relocation experience. Wheaton Worldwide Moving not only moves household goods, we also handle corporate relocations, government relocations, and international moving services, as well as logistics and hospitality needs. Our commitment to quality moving and storage services has come to represent what we call the Wheaton Way. We're proud of what that stands for as a moving company. At Wheaton, we think beyond just the boxes. We do more than move your belongings. We move your life. As an interstate moving company, we've proven time and again that trust is essential to a successful moving experience. We have about 240 affiliated agencies across the nation and hundreds of drivers. As an interstate moving company, we necessarily focus on giving our affiliated agencies and drivers the tools they need to provide a quality experience for our moving customers. A large part of that tool set is the technology we all use to track a customer's goods and experiences with us, and that's where Websphere Portal and Perficient have helped us to deliver exceptionally well. Now, I'd like to introduce to you our implementation partner, Mike Cronin of Perficient, so he can tell you just a bit about their company.
Thanks, Jared. Perficient has been really privileged to partner with IBM and Wheaton for this solution. It's been an exciting project. I'm going to give you just a little background on Perficient. Perficient is a business and technical consulting company with national coverage since 1997. And we're in 22 major markets in the United States and have an offshore delivery center in China. We have about 1,500 employees in the States and in our offshore delivery center. Those are Perficient employees as well, and there's about 100 Perficient employees in China. Now, Perficient partners with major technology vendors, and our strongest relationship is with IBM. As we talk about Perficient's market position, Perficient focuses on technical solutions for our customers. We have strong formalized verticals in healthcare, communications, and consumer goods, but we also have deep knowledge in the financial sector. The middle of the slide highlights our solution areas, and these areas can be purely custom, but majority of the time they're coupled with packaged solutions such as IBM Portal. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have a strong relationship with IBM, and over the years, Perficient has been recognized as a leading IBM partner in several key areas, such as from the Cognos area all the way through the Lotus technical stack. So, Jared, this might be a good time for you to discuss some of the business challenges Wheaton has faced, which drove the project.
Thanks, Mike. And as you do know, we faced quite a few challenges. We provide our affiliated agencies with the ability to electronically register orders with us for moving goods. This was provided in the past under a client-server model built on Lotus Notes, which had served us well for many years. However, the client-server model required installation of software on the client, which comes with end-user support requirements, reinstallation as PCs moved, broke, and were otherwise updated or changed. And this often involved non-technical staff that weren't Wheaton employees on site at our agencies and was more complicated than we really wanted. We also wanted to enhance the system to collect better data, more complete data, and have that data be available to everyone who needed to know at the same time. The old model was based on replication rules that limited our ability to transmit the information as fast as we wanted, and because we were collecting the data in Lotus Notes, but ultimately operating upon this data in our IBM System I environment, it created disparate views of the data, which made conversations between Wheaton personnel and our affiliated agencies sometimes more difficult than they needed to be. Finally, we saw an opportunity to move to a web-based system as a big win for the end users, mostly around training. As most people these days have had extensive experience with the web, we figured that we would be able to capitalize on that experience and leverage what they already knew if we built our web application in a very straightforward manner. Through this, we expected we'd be able to further decrease our technological constraints as an obstacle to doing business with us. This would allow our agencies to concentrate on the moving business, not on the technology business. So, on the next slide, let me tell you about where we were starting. We already had an IBM Websphere Portal where we were making a lot of information available to our agencies. We had a number of reference material items, such as our agency directory, which they could print if they desired. We had sales collateral materials, which changed as new sales programs were introduced and retired. We maintain a scoring system for our agencies so that both Wheaton and the agents know that we are meeting appropriate benchmarks for customer service, and this data was also already in our extranet. We also contracted with an external online training vendor and integrated their services into our portal environment to give our agencies a seamless transition from our site to the training site. There, we provide standardized training on packing methods to prevent breakage, completion of all legally required forms, sales training, and customer service training, which we call MAGIC, make a great impression on the customer. On the next slide, there's some other things that we also were already providing through this portal. One of these was just news updates. As noteworthy items in our agency network occurred, such as awards or new agencies came on board, many other items, we posted these through IBM Web Content Management, WCM, to distribute the news. The sales letters were also produced regularly and posted to the extranet. Then when we got to the individual moves, we post the customer survey results as soon as they're received, and we also deliver quite a bit of information about the accounting process. Once a move is complete, all of the parties involved need to be paid, and we do that every Wednesday. Portal allowed us to have a location to securely share the financial details behind each payment to each agent. There we allow them to see their open account balance, what they were paid for the last Wednesday, and even the detail of how their compensation was derived on each individual move. The security of this information, as you can imagine, was important. So Portal allowed us to develop a method where each agency could control their own users and provide different levels of access to them. By providing 4 different levels of access to the agencies, the owner could limit the information provided to each employee to only what they need and not to information the owner wanted to keep private. So this is the beginning point, the baseline where we were starting our project. Please note that almost everything that we were doing with Portal at this point was pushing information out to our agencies. And that was great, but we needed a way to bring information in from our agencies. So our goals for this project are on this slide, And first and foremost, we wanted to replace our client-server order registration system. We wanted to be able to properly price orders for individual moves, government moves, military moves, and national account moves. We even have some agents who like to prepare their estimates by hand, and we wanted to provide a rate sheet system to allow them that flexibility. We needed this system to correctly navigate a user through the complexities of the interrelated items on an order. We used to be a regulated industry, so there's some inherent complexities that regulation had imposed and which are still a legacy for us to deal with today. These can be complicated to the uninitiated, and we wanted to hide this complexity from our users. Now, once the order was registered, we needed the ability to give the agencies up-to-date information on truck and driver assignments and even advertise to our agents what we refer to as available tonnage so they could assign one of their drivers to a shipment that we hadn't yet staffed. This is what we call the bulletin board feature. We also wanted a degree of self-service for an agency to maintain data about themselves in our network, so we planned for an online version of our agency directory that would provide self-service and search capabilities in a whole new way. Finally, a good portion of our business deals with the military, and there are very specific processes that must be followed, and we needed to be able to integrate these requirements into our order handling in a way that made it easy for us internally, for our agencies, and ultimately for the military member who was being transferred to a new duty station. So these were the challenges that we were facing as we figured out how we were going to accomplish all these goals as we brought in Perficient and IBM again. So at this point, I'd like to bring back Mike from Perficient, who's going to explain the process and technology that we put into place to support these goals.
Thanks, Jared. Before I get into the new process, I wanted to take just a second with a couple easy slides to demonstrate what the old process was, and we're honing in specifically on the customer order process. As Jared had mentioned, there's many key goals that we achieved, but one of the key ones we wanted to focus on today was the order process. In the upper left corner, you'll see there's a client-server piece to this, the old solution that they had. And this was distributed to all Wheaton agents around the company or the country. And the key note here is that these agents are not Wheaton employees, so Wheaton did not have IT control of those agencies. So as Wheaton grew and their agent family grew, it became more complex to do rollouts of new maintenance releases and new features. Also, there was a licensing cost associated as they grew with the client-server model and their agents grew, increased the cost of the licensing was also there. Now, due to some of the structure of the data model, there was a lot of a lot of this by hand into other systems, some of the legacy systems, and this was due to technology and the data model that was in place. The old data model structure was very flat and did not model the business at all. And this caused a lot of redundant information to be put in or stored. It also caused confusion in how the data was read. For the new process, Perficient leveraged the IBM portal to create a dynamic website that Wheaton's customer orders for their customer order system. And this system replaced the client-server model. And what this allowed Wheaton to do was to manage releases on a timely manner. Basically, deploy it once, and all agents have access to the new features and functions. Perficient worked very closely with Wheaton to create a flexible data model that better aligned with the business. It really modeled the business and reduced the redundancy and also reduced the confusion of data. And I'll get into that in just a moment. As we talk about the technology solutions, technology areas, we thought it was important to discuss the technical stacks that help solve that problem. As Jared mentioned, there were some pieces in place already, and there's some we also brought into the fold for this new project. Jared had mentioned Wheaton had already been using IBM Portal Express version 6.1. This is our framework, and for the vision or the future for Wheaton projects and applications, Portal is that framework that all applications will be written to. Perficient leveraged IBM Web Experience Factory. This is formerly IBM Websphere Portlet Factory. And we use that for application development. Now, the portal, IBM Portal Framework sits on an application server, and Wheaton chose IBM WebSphere Application Server as their app server. As I mentioned, Perficient worked very closely with Wheaton on their data model, but as we got into the details of the database tools they were using, we found they had a very strong actual database tool. They were leveraging IBM's iSeries, the DB2 5.1. There were also legacy systems that were written in the AS400 and also Visual Basic, so we had to get information in and out of these legacy systems. So that's kind of the technical stack we were dealing with. As we get into how this helped, how Portal helped, we looked at IBM Websphere Portal, gave Wheaton the way to really translate this business model and data model we created into a web-based user experience that the Wheaton users were able to easily adapt to. Using user interface mechanisms like Web 2.0 type features, we were able to minimize the training and increase the user acceptance rate. And the most notable, measurable result of this was Wheaton's help desk. Soon after we rolled out this system, the help desk calls related to orders dropped to almost zero. We did create a user guide, but really the system, both from the data and interface side, model how the agents work. So really there was very little training needed. And this is proven as the system's been rolled out for over a year and Wheaton has brought in new agents. We've found that a lot of the agents have been posting and creating orders before they have had any type of formal training on the system. Also, the IBM solution was very powerful, and we're finding that it allowed us to put in more intelligence into the new system than the one to replace. The original scope of the project was simply a migration to move the same functionality from an old platform to a new platform. That philosophy we all had was quickly abandoned when we found out we could really add so much more. The system Wheaton has in place now has much more data integrity and integrity checking to validate the business rules are being followed as orders are being processed. Now, the moving industry, as Jared had mentioned, is very regulated and it's very complex. I'd like to give you one example of how we leveraged Web Experience Factory and the tools of Web 2.0 that IBM Portal allowed us. And it's around a business scenario when the agent is creating an order and they have to deal with the logistics. And there's a lot that goes into selecting the proper logistics for a move. And the agents would have to go to different old systems or even manuals outside of the system altogether to try to collect the right information to basically produce what-if scenarios. With Web Experience Factory and the Web 2.0 technology, we were able to create a simple hover approach. And you've probably seen this type of thing on a website where you literally take your mouse and hover over something and some information appears. Well, this is a very powerful tool for us because what it did is allowed us to pull into from a legacy system some key information to allow the agents to make what-if scenarios right there in the middle of the order. And these what-if scenarios are directly impact the cost of the order. So it protects the customer and protects Wheaton. They're getting the right product. One last thing I wanted to talk about on the technology solution is IBM Portal 7. This is an area that Wheaton has taken some interest in, have not made that migration yet, but are very interested in some key features. One of those key features is the mobility area. And in IBM Portal 7, they've leveraged and expanded their Web Experience Factory, and that's how they're taking a lot of the mobility. So all the framework and all the investment that Wheaton has done on their website with Web Experience Factory can be ported over, configured, and a lot of reuse. I'm going to move into the process solution. So when we talk about process solution, we really think it's important to talk about the methodology we used, and there's some real key reasons why we adopted what we did. We actually went with a Agile-like methodology. The reason we did this is how the business model at Wheaton flows. There's some very, very busy times of year, and they happen, and these are almost gap outs where you cannot talk to the business. So we were very short on time and had to be very precise of how we used the business. So we went with a more agile approach where we didn't have a long waterfall methodology. It was discrete, and the approach was more of a wireframe or picture of a screen with high-level requirements. And the thought was to do rapid development or rapid prototyping. This is where IBM's Web Experience Factory was hugely helpful. We were able to take those high-level wireframes, high-level requirements, and turn them into working prototypes that the business could see. And why this is important is they're really trying to mimic how the agent works and what their day-to-day life is like. And through this tool, we were able to give quick feedback from the business back to IT, and it really worked out very well. Moving down to the data model, and I mentioned that earlier, very key piece because leveraging great tools but having a bad data model, we decided we knew we needed both solutions to be robust and for taking them to help take Wheaton to the future. The model we worked very closely with Wheaton helped mimic the day in the life of an agent, and that's kind of how we thought through this. And it's one place for an order that an agent can go to and always see the history and where they are with a particular order. What we're finding now is there are fewer business process workarounds as a result of the data model and the tools we have put in place. And it's based on the IBM Portal and the application framework of the Web Experience Factory and the data model. Wheaton has a foundation that they can build on for years to come. And Jared, this is probably a good time for you to discuss the results of the project and your vision and future of where you see this going.
Thanks, Mike. So the results really were better than we expected. We knew that we had done a pretty good job, but as all projects seem to have, we had a lot of last-minute requirements that just kind of popped up with, oh, wow, it would be really great if we had this in there, or, wow, we really need this. But that didn't move our deadline at all. We still had to launch just before the beginning of our busy season, which for us starts ramping up in late April. This set of last-minute requirements had us scrambling a bit, but we were still confident we'd meet the launch date, which we did. So we launched on April 19th, and the reason I'd say our results were better than we were expecting is that each day I'd check with our primary agency support person, and she'd tell me that there had been few or no calls that day asking questions about the new system. Of course, we'd done webinars and training and all that, but there were a lot of people who hadn't attended those training sessions. Remember, these weren't our employees, and we didn't have control over them, so we were concerned that there would be a lot of questions and issues due to lack of training. This didn't materialize nearly like we thought it would. In addition to the initial launch going well, we've also enjoyed a much easier process for initiating a new agency into our network. In the past, we had to help a new agency through installation of software in a phone support environment because they might be across the country and we didn't always travel to them. In fact, rarely. Now we just bypass that and head straight into training them onto the website. And as an added bonus, we rarely even have to train them on that. As Mike said, oftentimes by the time our integration person arrives on site, they find that agency has already figured out the new system and even registered orders correctly with us. In fact, it's pretty hard to mess it up. Now, in tandem with the initial launch of our order registration system, which we've outlined, we also built and launched that self-service agency admin system. This system allows our agencies to maintain information about themselves that's both shared electronically and in printed format about our entire agency network. In the future, this system will be enhanced to also encompass all data about our agents so that we have one source of truth about our individual affiliated agencies. We also, as Mike had mentioned, were able to incorporate more things than we had originally planned for. For example, we have relatively few Hawaii moves, and this in the past had resulted in some manual work that wasn't necessary on other orders. It just in the past hadn't been feasible to make all the programming for the few orders that we had. But with this new system, we're able to automate much of that as well. And, of course, the main goals of the project, which were better data for all involved parties, was met in spades. That just worked extremely well. Overall, our agent network has been extremely pleased with the system. It has become really a point of recruiting for us. when we need to recruit agents in a specific market in the country, one of the things that we talk about is our technology. It's not something we try and sweep under the rug. In fact, it's something that we hold out as a competitive advantage over the other van lines. There is a stiff competition for agents in our industry, and everybody wants to have a good agent in their markets, and we use this tool set to help lure other agents over into our network. So really every goal that we had met or designed for has been met, and we've even exceeded what we had planned for. So with that said, we're not done. So we still have some more things that we would like to do with our military moves process, and we're going to actively rework those pieces that we hadn't yet touched and make that part of the extranet. There are some things that are still internal to Wheaton that we would like there to make available to our agents. Another piece of that is that the government has its own rating system of our moves. We have a customer survey report where our customers say how well we did. The military also has another similar survey, and they provide us those ratings. Right now, we don't have a very good way of reporting those back to our agents, and that will be one of the things that is incorporated very soon. We collected a lot of data around order registration, but what we didn't do in this first release was collect a lot of data about traffic. So what we call traffic is the matching of a shipment to a truck and to a driver. That all happens today on a Visual Basic app that Mike mentioned earlier. We're going to replace that application, bring that into our Websphere Portal environment, and that will do two things for us. One is it'll make that process better because we have a more robust data model. But secondly, it will allow us the opportunity to collect data on dispatching and planning for these moves from our agents. Today, that is a very telephone-oriented process, emails, even some faxes. And we'll be able to replace a lot of that with a new portal, actually two new portal apps that we have designed that we're going to bring in, both planning and dispatch. This will provide some near real-time data to us, and as Mike mentioned, we're going to be looking at Websphere 7 to provide some mobile applications for our drivers in particular, so that when they pull up to a site to unload, that they can let us know that they're there. They can let us know when the unload is finished and so on. So the mobile component is definitely going to be something that we're looking forward to. So with that, we would say that we've had a very successful project. From a procedural perspective, from a data model perspective, from a technology perspective, we really fired on all cylinders and have really stepped up and delivered well for our business and for our agents' business. So with that, what I'd like to do is turn this back over to Craig, and he can tell you a little bit more.
Thank you, Jared. Thanks to both Mike and Jared for telling us about their successful solution. I think it's very obvious that they really looked at their users and how they approached the solution that they developed, and have really gained significant benefit of it. And that's one of the things that we really look at when we look at the exceptional web experience and what that means. And I'd like to spend the last few minutes of our time together today talking about some of the products that are a part of this and some of the design points and goals that we have as we help you develop an exceptional web experience. When you really look at this, the user expectations really define the experience. As Jared and Mike talked about, they were very important as they thought about the people that are using the organization or using the product inside their organization, as well as the agencies that they work with across the country. It's really not about the technology as much as it is, of course, about those people and the type of experience we give them, whether it's internal or external in the organization. As you can see from the guide here, from the graphic, we are really looking at a type of entry point that can come from a variety of places, whether it be mobile or whether it's a social interaction with an organization in a portal, whether we might incorporate instant messaging or video and rich media types of capabilities, and at the same time providing the types of analytics. So as we build the foundation for a Websphere Portal implementation, those are all key parts of that exceptional experience that we're looking at. We have a variety of number of products that can work with you to help you build a solution. Of course, within the Websphere Portal family, we have a range of products depending on whether you might be a mid-sized organization coming in or have a larger number of users that need to be supported. Also, we provide a variety of accelerators and value add-ons, things like web content management to help manage the content that goes out on the website and then the approval processes and the integration of that into the organization. We have a variety of different accelerators, whether they're based on content or collaboration or mobile access, which is becoming more important each day as tablets and smartphones become an integral part of the way that we interact with our portal. Things such like as the portal development tools and dashboard frameworks and Portal Now, which we'll talk about in a moment. If you come from a specific industry, we have also developed a number of tools to help you implement your solution quicker, easier, and at a lower cost by providing you a number of industry toolboxes that have predefined templates that you can begin to build your portal solution with. And then finally, we've introduced a new customer experience suite, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Exceptional web experience really require a wide range of capabilities that are very integrated into the portal solution. At IBM, we focus very heavily on those, bringing together our experience in a variety of different products, whether they be social collaboration, analytics, mobile, shopping from a commerce standpoint, integration of forms, and authoring tools for our users that are developing content. And as we develop our solutions, those are very key as we look at how users can interact with each part of that, each aspect of that program. We've recently introduced Websphere Portal 7, and that's really the experience, the Exceptional Web Experience Foundation. As we develop our products in this portfolio, the overriding theme and direction is not just about Portal, but on the entire Portal pillar and how these products interact. We want the exceptional web experience to resonate both with line of business users as well as IT, and ensure those products develop to help our customers meet the expectations of their users, whether they're inside or outside of the organization. As we look at what is new with Websphere Portal 7 and Web Content Management, or WCM as we sometimes call it, you'll see that the features are designed to help you easily deliver those exceptional web experiences and still be cost-effective in your management, administration, and support of them. One of the highlights of V7 release is the continued convergence of the platform of web content management and portal together. Essentially, content is king when we get right down to it. It's important as ever in developing our exceptional web experiences, especially with content is put in the hands of the users out there in the business who can ensure that the right content is delivered at the right time and in the right context. When you couple this with new tagging and rating features for web users, business users can better understand the value of content to continually improve that experience. If you combine that along with some analytics, you get more and more information available to help your organization understand what is valuable and maybe just as importantly, what isn't valuable to your users in their web experience. Of course, in addition to empowering users, we still have goals of operational flexibility that are ever-present objective in achieving a better cost of ownership. With V7, there are significant advances, including virtualization support, improved and expanded web development, and several configuration and application and management improvements that can help IT reduce the cost of ownership. We also have released to the marketplace a series of what we call Now solutions for portal, web content management, and forms. These are a series of templates that our business partners are trained on to deliver. Partners like Perficient are experienced with these products, and within just a matter of a few weeks can really help begin to set up a basic portal infrastructure that integrates web content management solutions or a form solution into your organization. These can really be a quick on-ramp to develop a great customer experience in a shorter period of time, and also an on-ramp into beginning to do social business in your portal through tools like Facebook and Twitter integrations as well. If you're coming from a particular industry, we've also developed templates, as I referred to. We have templates for healthcare patient portal, government, online banking, retail, and insurance. These templates really are out there to help kind of give you some pre-built tools and really speed your IT development and deployment as you put your portal solution into place. Those portal accelerators are part of our portal catalog and available to users of our product. And finally here, I mentioned that we do have a new customer experience suite. And this is a product offering that really brings together a number of our tools, both from the social space as well as the portal and web content management analytics products that are really designed to kind of give you a one-stop product to deliver a complete solution in your organization. If you're considering Websphere Portal, we think you're considering a strong leader in the industry. We're 10 years plus now in development, and I think one of the things that's particularly interesting to note there that 1 out of 6 people worldwide with Internet access are probably a named user in a Websphere Portal application. We have a strong ranking in the portal market with Gartner. We've been number 1 in market share for a number of years. So if you're considering a portal solution, when you're looking at IBM, you're looking at one of the leading products in the industry and something that's designed as well for mid-sized companies as well as the large organizations. We invite you to look at a number of our customers and the types of solutions that we have out there. We have a variety of these, and if you have the opportunity to interact with any of these organizations in your business, you'll have a chance to see their portal solutions and maybe go out and take a look at them about how they've implemented the customer experience and the exceptional experience for their users inside of their organization. So that concludes a bit of a look at the products that we have. The IBM team and our business partners such as Perficient are more than happy to work with you and discuss possible solutions in your organization. We'd certainly like to thank Mike and Jared again for participating in our presentation today. And we have provided on our last slide here email addresses if you'd like to follow up with any conversation. At this point in time, we'll be taking questions from our audience, and we certainly appreciate everyone attending today and look forward to working with you in the future. Well, at this time, we'd like to remind everyone that if you'd like to ask a question of us, please press the green question and answer button, and we'll queue up questions, and we'll be taking those as we move forward here. I would like at this time, we do have a couple questions that I'd like to give to our speakers here. And Mike, maybe if you could start us off here a little bit. We had a question about why Web Experience Factory was chosen and how that has worked within the implementation.
Absolutely. Probably the 2 biggest reasons we've found was the rapid prototyping, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, would allow us to get back to the business quickly and see real results. The other one we found was we could build the business functionality once and present it from a presentation point of view, multiple ways in a configurable fashion that made the deployments very simple, and we could literally display the same type of functionality in multiple views for different users.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Greg.
Pretty useful there. Jared, something that's been brought up, I was wondering kind of what's the most important lesson that maybe you learned from this project? It was a big project, big undertaking from you, and now that you can step back a little bit and kind of look at some of the lessons learned, what might you share with the organization, the audience out there?
Well, I think the thing that we learned the most, Craig, was just like any application development project, requirements gathering was paramount. Having a good business analyst that could really understand what the technology was capable of and what the users really needed, and that really gets to their ability to ask the right questions of the right people. Essentially, we didn't have to spend a lot of time talking about the technology itself, and could we do this and could we do that. IBM Websphere Portal was allowing us to do almost anything we wanted to do. The real question was, did we know what the users needed to be able to do? And just like any project, it's very hard to get all of those requirements up front and documented. The requirements change frequently and so on. What's nice about Websphere Portal and the Web Experience Factory was we were able to adjust to those incoming requirements as they came in. And we would get a requirement and we thought it was all complete, and then it would come back later. But I think Websphere really helped us be more agile and react to those better than we would have been able to otherwise. But really, that questioning from the BA was just critical.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any advice that you'd have that you'd share with someone? I'm sure we've got listeners out there that are at a variety of different stages in considering projects like this. Any advice that you'd pass on to our listeners today?
Well, one thing that developers tend to be very concerned about exactly how things are going to work, and they're also very very much like the tools that they already know. So one of the things that I think is important as you look at, say, Web Experience Factory is making sure that the developers have enough time to acclimate to it, learn it. It's a little bit different than, say, Spring Framework or some of the other frameworks out there. And we have found some real advantages in using Web Experience Factory, but it does take a little bit of time. And so it's not like you just spin up and you're using it, the next day, but you are using it pretty darn fast, and certainly a lot faster than the first time you learn another framework. But it does still require a little bit of time. So I think that's one of the things that we learned is giving our developers some space to learn the tool, become proficient in it, so that they could start to really gain some of the benefits from it, and not trying to work against it or anything like that. We really liked, for instance, a lot of the widgets that we were able to pull out and use for pagination and data presentation, and it just takes a little bit of work, first of all, to know even what's available, and secondly, exactly how to use it. So just giving those developers some space at the front end is good.
Any, from a user standpoint, using the website, and so any good anecdotes or stories that have come out of the experience since you've been up and running with it?
Well, the biggest thing, and I kind of mentioned this in the presentation earlier, is just the fact that we don't have to do much training on this thing. Mm-hmm. Part of it, you said here at the close of your talk, Craig, that 1 in 6 users on the Internet is already probably a named user in an IBM WebSphere platform. The power of that is that our website works like every other website people are used to using. The controls are familiar, and not just similar to what they're used to seeing, but in many cases exactly the same. So our pagination tool looks the same as a pagination tool on a lot of other websites. And so people instantly know how to navigate that thing. It also kept us from having internally, during the development cycle, to talk about what a pagination tool should look like. Should we do, pagination by 10s or 20s or 50s? And we don't have to talk about any of that. We just plug in the tool. It works. People are used to it, and we really get to be focused on the content that we want to provide to the users. That was just eminently powerful for us. It also allowed us to customize and enhance our website as new features became available.
I think that adaptability, and I know in the projects I've worked with from the IBM side, that spending a little bit of that time on the user experience and thinking about how that will be presented to the users and what their day in the life might be like using the products is really a valuable part of it, and it oftentimes can be very key in the success of a project. And it sounds like you certainly agree that was an important part of yours.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
I think at this point we have answered the questions we had queued up in our presentation. We certainly encourage you to send emails to any of us, our emails that have been on the screen there. We'd be happy to follow up with you and answer any more specific questions, but we certainly appreciate the opportunity for everyone to join us today and hear a bit about what Wheaton has done and how they've successfully